Hello, everybody. Having technical difficulties today. Hello. Hope you are all doing well. What's today? Tuesday. It's Hellblade Day. Happy Hellblade Day to you. I hope you guys are doing well. Having a good old day today. I see Nisa Hauer in the house lurking today. Good to see you, Nisa. Is my audio okay? Let me know. Just settling in here. I was putting together something for the channel members that I wanted to share with you guys when the time comes. Want to talk about Hellblade for sure. Definitely want to talk about Hellblade. That is on my to-do list, as it were. Let's see here. I got something fun for the channel members. Just a little Caesars joke there. Hope you're doing well, Nisa. Well, guys, I hope you're all having a great Tuesday. I wanted to sit here and just sit down with you guys, chat about Hellblade 2, answer any questions you might have about it. See if anybody in the chat pops up. I'm curious if anybody does show up, because so many people want to see the game for themselves. So they're concerned about like spoilers and such. So curious if that's something that we get, if people do decide to show up for that one. Let's see, live now. I plan to be more on time than I was today. More on time. Oh, look at that. We got Mr. Glass in the house. Says, well, hold on. Let me say hello to Mr. Glass is here. Nerd Chat's here. Good to see you also. Nerd Chat says, great Tuesday. Great review today. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I worked really hard on that review. I am not a video editor by nature, so it's a lot of work for me to do. And so I'm working my way kind of to get better. Like I will regularly Google what it is I'm trying to do in order to make it better, which is just kind of the way it goes, right? Mr. Glass, good to see you, Mr. Glass. Hope you're doing well. Hellblade is awesome. The sound is absolutely incredible, as well as the visuals. Absolutely. I cannot agree with you more, Mr. Glass. I will tell you, having a good headset is something that cannot be understated, particularly when it comes to a game like this. I was playing on not Arctis 9s, I think Arctis Nova Pros from SteelSeries. Chef's kiss. Really good headset for that. I have the new Razer Stealth 600s on the way for review. And I'm anxious to try those out with Hellblade and compare like a $100 headset to a $300 headset and see what that difference is. But I will tell you for sure, very, very impressed just with the audio design altogether. Let's see. Mr. Glass is playing right now. Oh, very cool. Very, very cool. Glad to hear that. Glass, did you see any reviews, or did you go in blind? That's the question there. Addie Tune in the house. Good to see you, Addie. Hope life is good. Red Beast says, we'll be here as long as I can. Really enjoy the video review. Thank you, Red Beast. I appreciate you. Again, pushing my boundaries, trying to flex a bit more. I was okay with the writing on the Suicide Squad review. Logan did the editing on that one, but I really wanted to try my hand at doing both kind of in conjunction. And so that's where kind of that progress kind of happened, all things considered. I do want to give Nerd Chat. I don't know if you're here to stay or just hanging out. I do have a little present for you in the chat. There you go. Do you know what that is? That's a Little Caesars logo for you. Pizza. There you go. Mr. Glass saying, in regards to Hellblade, I never listen to reviews. If I listen to reviews, I miss half the games that I've enjoyed. I'd miss half the games I'd enjoyed. That is absolutely the right way to do it, Mr. Glass, unless you're having to decide what to purchase, right? If you've already pre-decided to purchase something, then yeah, 100%. That's the way to do it, because I think too much. I think we talked about this last week, actually, when we did a Let's Talk. Too much of gaming has been boiled down to pixel counting and console warring and debating the nitpicks of gaming, as opposed to finding the fun, recognizing that it's not work, and just enjoying what has been made. And so I think that's a big thing for sure. Nerd Chat, I would presume this is Jose. Says they went in blind after about 5 hours, stopped for lunch, watched your review and Ains's review, went back and finished 15 minutes ago. That is it. That is Jose then. I'm really glad you uh, just kind of one-shotted it, for lack of a better term, because that is absolutely the best way to do it. I found the game very powerful, very powerful. We can talk spoilers in a bit. I'm going to give people a warning before we talk spoilers, um, for sure. But I'm definitely here to talk about the reviews, the review that I did, and then we can talk spoilers for sure. For sure. Attitude in the house saying reviewing in the Game Pass era must be strong. That has definitely changed how people consume. Or you mean strange? Okay, makes good sense. But it has definitely changed how I look at games and the value that games offer. It's changed how I approach them, particularly in the Xbox ecosystem, right? Which makes sense. Obviously, I will say that like one of my close friends, Ainsley Bowden, seasoned gaming editor in chief there, millions of views on content regularly kind of thing. Luke Lore, small content creator, a couple hundred if I'm lucky, kind of thing. Ains is so thorough with reviews that I actually don't enjoy the way that seasoned gaming approaches stuff. Similar to Travis at IGN, who is another friend. They are immaculately talented at their craft. They are masters within it. They are wonderfully talented, capable, and genuinely wonderful at it. I enjoy listening to them to a point, but it's almost so quantifiable in every rating that I think some of the soul is lost for the way that I approach media. But I see the absolute necessity to have that. We need people out there to uh, go further. For me, I tend to go a bit more from the hip, but not entirely. I don't know if that quite makes sense, but that tends to be kind of my modus operandi. I don't like when people just go fully from the hip without any preconceived thoughts, and then just that's what it is, right? Let me type this in. Let's see here. I'm pulling up the reviews for Helldivers just because I am curious. I said Helldivers, I meant Hellblade, and I even typed Helldivers. Let's see. Hellblade 2. I hate that the first thing that comes up is that Grums guy. He's such a jerk. Not a cool dude. Coach Hulk in the house. I haven't seen Coach in a long time. Coach, how you doing, man? How are you doing? Good to see you. Coach says, I am a big fan of Luke when he says modus operandi. Thank you. Thank you. Coach, hope you're doing well, man. Let's see. I'm trying to find I had a whole general tweet here, but I had to reboot right beforehand. Let's see. Too many people wanted it to be bigger than it was. Yeah, I think that's the pressure that comes with being a first party game now, is that everybody wants it to be big. But what we are seeing regularly is that big games don't necessarily return the investment. And moreover, bigger games are not worth the time for people to play. So they want smaller experiences. The counter to that is Xbox has had 3, I would argue, top tier smaller experiences in Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, and now Senua Saga. But people don't seem universally happy with that either. And I think it's more and more difficult to please everyone. You look at Spider-Man 2, critically acclaimed, commercially kind of successful, right? Like it sold lots of copies, so very successful in that route. But it was so disappointing in terms of its return of investment because it made so little money next to what it costs, which I think is a problem, right? All right, so I've got the Hellblade 2 kind of reviews in front of me. Let's see. Before we get to that, Coach Hulk, school is wrapping up, man. Another year of teaching in the books. Yeah, dude. On this Friday, year 14 for me is done with the kids. I'll have some work days and such, and then I fly out to LA, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, year 14 will be done for me. And Coach, if you're unaware, I don't know if YouTube can see Coach's comments. YouTube, you can't see Coach's comments. Let me see if I can right here. The Coach, in our YouTube chat, nerd chat, Jose, he is an educator as well, works in administration now after quite a long time in the classroom. And I've kind of bumped into quite a few educators in the gaming space, and this is a comfortable place to inhabit. And so I'm enjoying that for sure. For sure. Let's see here. All right, so let's look at this review roundup for Hellblade 2 because I think it's interesting. If you did not catch my review, I did not give it a number. I didn't give it a number. Did not number it as a score. I did not want it to be quantified so much so that I was like boiled it down. I try to avoid that. In general, one of the nice things about being my own boss when it comes to XEP is I can just decide how I want to say stuff. And I recommend it. I strongly recommend it. Hellblade 2. I have a lot of thoughts on it, but Eurogamer gave it a 5 out of 5. Game Rant a 4 out of 5. VGC 24/7 3 out of 5. Gamer 3 out of 5. Whew, wild. Shack News, Press Start, Video Gamer, and Game Informer all 9s, which is crazy. IGN 8s. Okay, Forbes, Pure Xbox, Gameblog 7s, and then I think standing out, GameSpot gave it a 6, and then PC Gamer gave it a 58 out of 100, which very much on the low side. I was quite taken aback when I saw anybody drop a review score lower than 8. That did surprise me for sure. I said I strongly recommend Hellblade 2. To me, this is kind of a near masterpiece in its craft, like what it's intending to do, what it sets out to do. And I really was impressed by that experience. So there's something to that. Let's see. My good buddy and one of my best friends, the Trophy Room PlayStation podcast, a PlayStation show. He's revamping it, guys. Says, question, first time, long time. How are we not concerned that Senua Saga Hellblade 2 has only peaked at 3,300 people on Steam? How are we not concerned? Well, that is kind of concerning, if we're being honest. That is concerning. That's low, probably due to the marketing that was almost non-existent, which is kind of marketing has become a fallback argument for, I think, a lot of Xbox content creators. And I hope that is not how it's interpreted on my channel. That is not something that I want to just blame the marketing. No, I do think there is a marketing issue. I don't think enough people knew what Hellblade was. I had one student out of 119 know what Hellblade was when I said, hey, I reviewed Hellblade. I'm really excited. You guys check it out. One person was like, oh my gosh, really? And so that's a problem. 3,300, it seems pretty light on Steam. And a lot of people will say Steam is not a good barometer for success. And I no longer subscribe to that mentality. I now believe Steam is a decent barometer for success. It's a measure. It's not the only measure, but it is a measure. And I think it's important to note. And if you're on Steam, that means you purchased it. Whereas if you're on Game Pass, you're not accessing via Steam. So there's definitely that element to it. And that is going to cloud all Xbox sales for first party. Simple as that. But is it concerning? Yeah, a little bit. I mean, it doesn't concern me personally, right? Like I had a wonderful experience. I recommend this game so heavily to everybody. And I really enjoyed it. But I totally get that people are playing it on Game Pass. So yeah, if I'm Xbox, I'm disappointed at that day one confusing set because its Metacritic is an 80, its OpenCritic is an 83. I would have rated the game higher. I would have thought it'd be around a 90 if it were me. Red Beast says, sorry if my nose keeps itching. I'm sorry, guys. I look like a meth addict. Sorry if asked, but is there a day one patch for Hellblade 2? Hoping to start after work this evening. I have not encountered a day one patch, Red Beast. I did play it for review. I should note that for anybody that doesn't know. I did get an early copy. I played through the game twice. Roughly an 8 to 10 hour campaign. First time through was somewhere in there. Second time through, I think was probably a little under 7. If I'm, because the puzzles, to solve stuff, where the collectibles are. And I did not encounter a patch of any kind when I turned on my Xbox this morning, and I turned on my Xbox after the game had gone live. So take that for what you will. But I did not see a day one patch. I think you're good to just start in. And I will say, the game's performance was immaculate. It was. I did not have a single issue performance wise. No stutters, no breaks, no audio hiccups, no crashes to dash. And I put in probably 18 to 20 hours, I want to say, right? Like ballpark. Again, 2 times playing through the campaign plus some capture stuff. So I had no issues, and I got every single achievement. In the second playthrough, I grabbed up kind of some of the collectibles I missed, and so I put in some good time and had great performance. Xbox Mike 29 in the house, dropping just some love in the chat. I appreciate you, Xbox Mike 29. Hope you're doing well. Haven't seen you on socials as much as I used to. Twitter's algorithm's crazy, but I hope you're doing well and that things are good. Joseph Moran and I were talking the other day. We need to get back into some Sea of Thieves for sure. Mr. Glass says, got to put on my headphones. See you later. Cheers, Mr. Glass. You are in for a treat. I hope you enjoy it. The Steam numbers for Hellblade 1 did not go over 1,000 concurrent, says Additune. I think it will be all right. I hope so. Something that I anecdotally can note is that when I first saw Hellblade way back when, it was a PlayStation exclusive and everybody loved it. And then when it went to Xbox, it was a little less loved, despite more people getting to play it. And I think there is like a strange vibe when a game goes from one side to the other, and that can throw people off for sure. I think a lot of people will point to like Xbox tax and they'll make that their talking point. I'm not sure I'm quite in that realm. I'm not sure I'm quite there, but I do see a difference, right? I do see a difference there. Take that for what you will. I'll take that for what you will. Ask me anything about it though, guys. I would love to take your questions if you guys have any. Let's see here. Let's put out a little tweet here. Hop in. Oh wait. I wonder how these Let's Talks are going to go. I don't know if people are going to pop in, just to ask these particular questions. How many times did you die? I only died during combat. That's a dumb statement. I would say I died 2 times per combat encounter, maybe 1 time per combat encounter, maybe one to 2 times, right? So not a ton, and less than 10 times total, maybe. Now my statistics are not adding up. I did not die often, but I am not good at parrying in any video game. I tend to button mash, which is not my best method of combat here. The combat in Hellblade 2 is extremely heavy and very impactful. Every strike is weighted, and you feel it, and you feel like this chunk of flesh that you're entering in because the sound is so emphatic. It was really impressive to me to watch the combat in motion, because essentially all of the combat is one-on-one. You're never fighting more than one person at a time. If I was in God of War, I'd be pissed. It's something about in Hellblade, it works, and they do some really good things to kind of keep that fresh. But your combat encounters are not overly diverse, at least not at first glance. Your next question, favorite enemy type and most hated enemy type. They're all pretty much the same. The fire variant on the Northmen was my least favorite. I did not enjoy or could not comfortably dodge some of the fire breathing that they did, but I am not necessarily good at that. Good at combat in games like that. I'll also note, Nerd Chat, there's a dynamic difficulty, so it changes with you. The more you die, the easier it's going to get, or the more you struggle to parry, the less times they're gonna open up the range on that one. So I do not think anybody who is not great is going to struggle past a certain point, because the game will adapt to you. You said you hated the fire guys. I also hated them, more because I didn't know where to dodge, how to dodge, if that was the right thing to do. And being aggressive wasn't always useful. One of the things that Hellblade 2 does that I think a lot of people really like about it is that it has no HUD, right? There's no input prompts or anything like that. And so as a result, you might die because you don't know what you're supposed to do, or rather what the game is asking you to do. There were a couple times where I got my, not progress reset, but I got killed and sent back to a spot because I went down a path in the idea of exploration, but I didn't realize one of the cues was telling me, no, don't go this way. But I was trying to just explore the world, find collectibles. And it had to do with the color red. Like there were this red ominous color was consuming me, but there's so many other elements of her psyche that I didn't know if it was just her being an unreliable narrator. So Cheeseworks, good to see you, buddy. I hope you're doing well. Cheeseworks asks, do you rate 2 higher than the first one? Oh, by a mile. By an absolute mile. I really liked the first Hellblade, but I've not gone back since I played it when it first came to Xbox. And so I'd actually like to. This sparked an interest in me going back because I think there's one achievement I don't have. So I do want to go back to the first Hellblade. However, this one sets a standard for me. Visually, I've never seen a game look as good as Hellblade 2. Audio-wise, I've never heard a game as powerfully capable in terms of audio design as Hellblade 2. And so I would imagine it feels weird to go back. Also, I'll note the way that Senua exists in this story, it's its own story. It's called Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, and I think that's a smart move because, or rather, maybe it's not a smart move in terms of selling copies, but having Senua's Saga first kind of reminds us that you don't need the first Hellblade. Senua's Sacrifice is actually supplementary to this. Like, it's more like this is the main game, and that was the prologue. This feels like the main game. And it exists all to its own. A nice little recap at the beginning, and so you don't need to worry about it too much. Trophy Room says, important question for the show. Has Senua been censored by the radical woke mob? If you check my comments section, I'm sure. Like, I looked at the comment section for my review, and I had some people losing their minds that people were liking this game, and some people were calling it the end of PlayStation. Others were like, this game sucks. It's a walking simulator. And I would just put up a review. I was just saying if I liked the game or not, and they were losing their minds, which is funny. I used the analogy last night with my buddy Kev, who is a jerk and won't watch my review, and it really makes me sad because I put 2 Star Wars references in there for him. But the game is somewhere in between a walking simulator and God of War. And I think it's actually the perfect descriptor to use those 2 games, or to use those 2 examples as definition, because you do a lot of walking in this game. And while walking, you are discovering the world and listening to the psychosis run its course, and listening to what Senua has to basically decode in order to function moment to moment. And that to me is really powerful. The combat feels like God of War when it's at its best, at least to me. I really enjoyed it. I really liked it a lot, but it is somewhere in between those 2, right? It is somewhere in between those 2. And so it's not meant to be God of War. I wish it was, for the record. I really wish it was, but it's not meant to be. And so what it sets out to do, it is a masterclass in doing. To me, absolute masterpiece of a game. Ian Glenn, what's up, Ian? Says, do you recommend getting Dolby Atmos for Hellblade 2? Ian, I am not a tech guy, right? I'm not talented in that realm, and I don't want to pretend like I am. So what I will tell you is this: the best headset setup audio you can get, you need to do. Headphones are a must. Even with the best surround sounds, I think you're better off having headphones. And so whatever gives you the best audio experience, you should do. The first time I played through, I had my headset on. The second time I played through, I did not. I used the sound bar, and I have a decent sound bar. And then I was listening on Arctis Nova Pros from SteelSeries, and I really enjoyed the quality that I was getting there. And so whatever your best bet is in terms of audio, you should make use of. Cheeseworks asking, are the events of Hellblade 1 acknowledged into, are Dillion and Druth acknowledged? Yes. Druth is an unlockable voice that you can get to narrate after you've beaten the game and gathered some collectibles. You can listen to Druth comment on your story. And Dillian is referenced at various points, but it's more like Dillian exists as part of the darkness that she carries with her. But you are not going to hear very many references to the first game, other than in one of my favorite quotes that Senua says is not overly well worded. It's just, "I have killed a god." And it's just like, ooh, she's not messing around. I dig it. So there is reference to the first game, but a wonderful recap allows it. With Jose dropping in, with your second playthrough, did you use the narration? If yes, thoughts on it? Yeah, I sure did. I listened to several chapters. There's 6 chapters in the game, guys. Each chapter has its own segments, and they're not equal in terms of the amount of time that you get. So like, there's different numbers of checkpoints per chapter. But I listened to the others, which are kind of the main companions you get in the game. I listened to them for a couple chapters, and then I listened to Druth for a bit. You get Druth if you unlock certain collectibles. So I really enjoyed the alternate narration. In fact, I think it was actually, I don't know if it's a better experience, but it added something to it. So playing the first game as Senua and getting to be Senua, hear her psychosis, hear the voices that accompany her, that haunt her, that humiliate her, that mock her, that encourage her. That was fantastic. I really liked that. Getting to play through it with the narration added context. You'll hear what some of these other characters are thinking about Senua. You know, here she walked, choosing to fight with us despite us not being her people. Those kinds of things were really cool. And so I liked that a lot. Todd Oxter saying, did they remove the FMV segments? I don't know what you mean. Like, are you saying, like, if you're making a joke about it being a walking sim, I got you, and I'm with you. I hear that. If you're asking, like, if there were FMV segments, I did not see any. Pretty much everything was interactive, or needed input from me pretty regularly. Joseph Moran, I couldn't tell if he was being facetious or not, but he asked in one of our group chats about, like, he's like, I heard there was a 40-minute segment where you don't press a button. That's not remotely true. I never once that like that I think he was trolling, because like that is not a thing. Oh, there were FMV segments in Hellblade 1, says Zell. I did not, if there were FMV segments, they were so well implemented into Hellblade 2 that I did not think of or notice them as FMV segments. I very much just enjoyed the game kind of in engine, as it were. I don't even remember there being FMV segments in Hellblade 1, so that might tell you how long it's been since I've played it in terms of perspective. But I did not notice a single FMV element in Hellblade 2. Cheeseworks asking, is it well paced? Did playtime fly by? I found the game to be very well paced. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was steady throughout. And so there was just a nice kind of glacial progression. It was not meant to be fast. There were moments where they would zoom out and move the camera over the earth in a loading screen to take you to a new location, but it was all without camera breaks, and I really liked that. I thought the game was very well paced. There were some really cool moments in the dark where you are in some caves and some claustrophobic elements, and enemies will pop up out of nowhere, and it's really cool. And it does this interesting thing with its pacing where it kind of rotates between puzzle and combat and walking, but it's not a cycle. Like, you're not going to do the puzzle segment, then walk, then fight, then puzzle. It doesn't do that. It's got a nice intermixing and weaving of these things, and the walking that you do is not straight line walking. So you'll walk, you'll look for collectibles, you'll traverse different terrain, solve a puzzle, see a new area, encounter a new narrative element, and that's very helpful. Hey, Cheeseworks saying, like the stream. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And channel members, don't forget you have a new emoji to play with, which is your pizza guy from Little Caesars. Pizza. Nisa Howard says, I started Hellblade 1 and I understand why the puzzles were there and why the fighting was the way it was. I very much liked the puzzles in Hellblade 2 and the fighting in Hellblade 2. I've seen some criticism that people found it bland or boring, but I really enjoyed the puzzles. I really enjoyed the combat. I thought it was very good. The puzzles were, to me, just the right amount of difficult, right? Like I would encounter the puzzle, solve the puzzle with a good bit of scoping around, figuring stuff out, and I was happy. They were a touch easy, but I like easier games. I don't like high level difficulty. Excuse me. Don't clip that. I don't like high level difficulty games, and so I really enjoyed the level of difficulty that was there for sure. It's because of the way she viewed her psychosis. What's that? Nisa, are you talking about like the puzzles itself as a part of her psychosis? Because yes, I would agree with you if that's what you're referencing, for sure. Jam Pack Sam in the house. Sam says there's beauty and simplicity with the combat. Loving it personally. The details are phenomenal. I agree. I think the word visceral was overused at one point in the gaming industry, and then there was this overcorrection to not use it at all. And I comfortably say it's very much a visceral combat. Very heavy, very weighted. You hear the sword go through flesh and bone. I put one of my favorite clips into the review, which was me battling an enemy that had a shield, and like he flipped me over the shield at one point, and then you disarm him, and it's just weighted and heavy and very much a thud. And one of the cool things about the combat, I think, is like Senua is not a god. She's not Kratos, and so she's winded and tired, and it's difficult. Like if anyone's ever punched a punching bag or punched like a body double in like a training room, it's a lot to move a body. And so the idea that you're swinging this heavy sword and trying to do stuff is crazy. Mr. Matty Plays said that in my defense. I think Joe is talking about the 40 minutes without touching a button. I don't know what Matty's talking about. I like Matty a lot. I know I'm going to see him at Summer Game Fest and the Xbox Showcase and such, but I never once encountered a 40-minute window where I didn't press a button. Not my experience. I don't know what he was talking about or playing, or if he was exaggerating for effect or to prove a point, because there is, yes, a lot of walking. But I don't remember that as being a thing. So if it's there, it didn't even phase me. It didn't even recognize it because the story was so good. Happy Cloud Gamer in the house. Happy Cloud Gamer saying, I don't understand why some gave it a 6 out of 10, but who cares? I'm about to play, or who cares about it? I'm playing Hellblade 2. Yeah, Happy Cloud Gamer, I was shocked this morning when I saw people rating it less than an 8. Anything less than an 8 or an equivalent of an 8 really does surprise me. I saw 3 stars out of 5 from I think it was VGC and a few others, and that really bothered me. Like I was like, really? Like, are you kidding me right now? That's real. To me, anything less than an 8 is eyebrow raising. Anything less than a 7, I kind of think we're going too far. We're being a little bit silly. I think we're being a little odd. I don't necessarily like it. Makes me question the validity of the reviewer, or if they had preconceived notions or went in with something that they wanted it to be that it wasn't. So if somebody writes a great review for a 6, like I saw GameSpot gave it a 6, having not listened to or read their review, if they justify all their reasons and that's how they feel, rock on. If Joe Schmo on the internet loves PlayStation, hates Xbox, and gives it a 6, okay, then that's a different thing, right? So I don't necessarily one-to-one subscribe to the Xbox tax mentality. I think that's too comfortably a crutch when it comes to how some content creators approach Xbox coverage. But I was surprised to see anything lower than a 7. Actually, surprised by lower than an 8. Concerned, I guess, to see 6s and 5s, and that just doesn't jive with my experience, because there's no way in my mind you can play Hellblade 2 and not think that its visual fidelity, audio design, combat, and puzzles are less than good. In several of those categories, stunning and industry setting. I've not seen a better looking game than this. I just haven't. The fight with Ituga is just Ituga. I don't want to mispronounce the name. But it was just so good. So good. And I loved it. So yeah, strange. Strange to say the least. Cheeseworks dropping in a question. What are percentage does Molina have? What are the percentages? He's asking how likely is it that Melina Juergens wins a best performance at the Game Awards. Strong. I thought Melina Juergens did an incredible job portraying Senua. In fact, one of the first things I called out in my review was that with every blow, wince, or moment of frustration, Senua's face showcases it emphatically and well, and the facial animation and the capture that they did for it really puts that on display in the best of ways. To me, this looks better than Alan Wake, and their performances are far better than Alan Wake, and that is a high bar. I have not seen anything better in combination of between facial animation and emotional expression in the gaming industry yet. And I'm being specific with my words: facial animation and emotional display. So I'm not saying the overall performance. I'm talking about like those particular aspects. But her performance was top tier. Top tier. I think it's up there with Keanu Reeves in Cyberpunk. It's up there with Christopher Judge in the first God of War, or God of War 2018, I should say. And so, like, it's up there with some of the best performances in games that I've ever experienced. Let's see. Todd Oxtra dropping in. In the first game, they did a good job of making you doubt if the supernatural events were all real or imagined. Is this game more overt in confirming that the fantastic elements are real? So that's a great question. And I'll just a touch of context. It's kind of well known at this point that Senua suffers psychosis, right? She hears voices and thus is an unreliable narrator because the world around her, she can't distinguish what is real and what is not. So there are moments where something happens and you're like, wait, is this truly what is being seen or what is not? And I'll tell you, there is no way to deny that there are supernatural elements in this because of the number of things that she is encountering. That this is a supernatural, fantastical world. Too many of the characters are talking about the same things for it to all be in Senua's head. Too many characters are going through things for it to all be in Senua's head. If it wasn't real, or if none of it was real, it would be a huge disservice to the journey and trauma that Senua goes through. Some of it is not real, and she's gotten good at knowing it. She knows that her father is not there, is not haunting her in reality, that it's a part of her. So she's acknowledged that. And that kind of goes to Addy asking how I feel about the Furies. He means Furies, but I swear that says furries. The Furies being the voices in her head, they were so good, so well timed, so well placed. Like, they humiliate her, and then other times they're begging for her forgiveness or begging for acknowledgement, and that's really interesting. Addy Toon saying Kind of Funny was a 6.5. I think Kind of Funny is having a rough week. I think Kind of Funny is having a rough week. And they're kind of taking it on the chin in a course correction. And I think we'll kind of watch that in the next few months. But I appreciated the range of scores they gave it, though I have not listened to their discussion. I believe I saw that like Snowbike Mike was at a 9, and then Greg was at like a 6. And so that's kind of the nature of games. So there you go. Let's see. Sam saying, reading through Metacritic reviews, there are so many small outlets included for every Eurogamer and BGC. You've got 10 tiny international outlets. Sam, I noticed that myself, not in terms of the way you did, but I noticed the same symptom when I saw that one XCP got included early. Starfield we got the day of. Never got Hellblade. I'm sorry, never got Halo. Did get Forza, did get Pentiment, did get a few other titles, but they were almost always on day of. We got Hellblade early, and I thought that was interesting, to say the least. So I feel like in this particular case, they took an approach of generating more codes, sending it out to more people, trying to get those that they thought might be on board. If I'm them, like we got a media code, but I know they gave a lot of enthusiast codes out there too. So something in there, right? Like something in there. Maybe they wanted those smaller outlets, expected those smaller outlets to boost them up. Maybe that's a question. That's a question. Do you guys think that's something that they would consciously do? Cheesework saying, do I believe there will be a Hellblade 3? Yes, I do, but that has nothing to do with the story. The story is very nicely like wrapped up. This was a wonderful put a bow on it story. No lead ons or cinematic universes or anything else like that. Let's see. Nisa Hauer commenting that Melina Jurgens was originally the stand-in the game. Yep, agreed. Let's see. Cheeseworks again. Do you want a new IP from Ninja Theory or next or Hellblade 3? If it's me, you know what I want? I want a more combat-heavy God of War style game in the Hellblade universe. That's what I want. Everything about this game teases this wonderful world that they could have that third-person over-the-shoulder action game with great combat. And I want that. I just want that. But I'm glad it's not Senua's story that does it, right? Like, I think there are other characters that we could be introduced to in this world, and that be the case. Todd saying Heavenly Sword is that game. Yeah, but Heavenly Sword's old, not modern, and not putting Unreal Engine 5 through its paces. So that's kind of where I go. Nisa saying, I feel like anyone who gave a bad review was going off their expectations and not the actual game. Yeah, I kind of get the idea that that's the case also, because there's nothing that you do in Hellblade 2 that feels underbaked, undercooked, feels secondhand or tossed in or just whatever. It all feels like it's intentional and there for a reason. And just the quality of it all is just so high. I don't understand anybody thinking it's less than good, if not great. So it goes. Sam says it does make sense. The smaller communities are probably more into that kind of game. Yeah, niche interest for sure. But also, like, if you're giving an outlet with Xbox in its name, the Xbox exclusive code that of the game that was showcased the most recent powerful console, you kind of expect them to like it, right? You kind of think they would. And so I think if I'm PR, I'm like, Xbox era, Xbox expansion pass, pure Xbox, we're going to get these. They're going to want this. They're probably going to like it a lot. At least I think that's how they would approach it. I don't know, man. Right? Like, maybe not. I love this game because I love this game. I loved the first Hellblade. This game was special to me. And Joseph Moran asked a good question in our group chat that if he brings it up in here with more adult wording, because he sounded silly because he was voice to chatting. If he asks that again, I can address it. But it had to do with like a God of War Hellblade comparison. Cheesework saying, off topic, did you hear about IGN acquiring Eurogamer and other outlets today? I sure did, man. And having not looked into it, but it makes me very worried because competition is everything. That's the big concern when you see PlayStation buy up Bungie, when you see Xbox gobble up Bethesda and then Activision. It's like, yo, we need competition to get quality. And in a gaming space that has very few journalists, I can count on one hand the number of gaming journalists I think exist, right? One hand of people that I think are genuine, real journalists. Among the best, Stephen Totillo, right? Rebecca Valentine, Jason Schreier. They are journalists. The rest are either enthusiast press, Glasshouse right here. I would say that XCP qualifies as a enthusiast press, or they're just regurgitators of information. They see what someone said. They whatever Jeff Grubb sneezed in his sleep. They're like, oh, it's a rumor. Let's just post that up. Or they take AI versions of rewritten articles and IGN posted this. We're gonna post that. Congratulations, here it is. And some of the enthusiast press sites do this as well. So it makes me sad when I see that IGN is scooping up their competition because I've already seen a very formulaic approach to IGN coverage. I've really been disappointed in the shift that I've watched in outlets like Kinda Funny and IGN and their approach to gaming. It's become so, God, I sound silly here, mainstream that it doesn't feel like there are actual opinions from actual people sometimes. Uh, Todd, you said this in our Discord today, and I think it's a great. IGN is the USA Today. Yeah, it's basic, it's obvious, it's there, it's for the common person. There was a time where if I listened to Podcast Beyond, Three Red Lights, Podcast Unlocked, Game Scoop, I knew that I was going to get a very authentic personal answer from each person. And I don't think I quite get that anymore. Same with some of the bigger outlets in the enthusiast press, right? Like Kind of Funny, Last Stand, all those that kind of split off from that old level of whatnot. But also to call a spade, guys, I don't have time to listen to all of them. I don't have the energy or interest to listen to all of them. Sometimes I do, but not as often. And so what does that mean for them? I want them to do well because we need more voices, not less voices. And IGN scooping up their competition paves way for layoffs, means less people commenting, less people interested, less diverse opinions happening. There's an extremely high number of liberal opinions in gaming and a very few number of conservative ones. And that's not good or bad in terms of my personal belief system, but balance and counterpointing is really needed for a medium to exist heavily. And that doesn't. What you have now are extremists, right? That Grums loser that comments on everything, this hyper conservative approach or the hyper liberal anti. Like, I want it to exist with a lot of voices in the middle that you can pick and choose who suits your interests best, right? If you listen to a Luke Lore XEP review, I want you to also listen to Ainsley Bowden. In this case, IGN's Travis Northrop, or anybody else, and say, hey, this person's viewpoint matters to me, even if I disagree. I like what he said here. I disagree with what she said there. I'm taking their personal opinion into account before I form my own opinion, not becoming a warrior because Maddie Plays or Luke Lore or the people on Beyond said something, right? And so that's kind of why I'm bummed to see that IGN's scooping up Eurogamer. What does that mean for GameIndustry.biz? What does that mean for VGC? What does that mean for those that do different types of coverage? Because GamesIndustry.biz does incredible analytical, statistical analysis, business approach. I can go to GamesIndustry.biz and get facts and information and then form my opinion. If I go to Xbox Era, Pure Xbox, I'm probably going to get a more biased approach in covering stuff. It's in the name. If I go to PlayStation Lifestyle or oh my gosh, what's the other PlayStation Push Square? I know that I'm going to get a more biased approach there. It's in the name, but I go there knowing that, right? Like it's wearing its heart on its sleeve, and I appreciate that. It's when enthusiast press try to be journalists or journalists devolve into enthusiast press and then want to go back, right? That's kind of an issue there. I think about Destin in that case. Was kind of in that journalism realm, created his own channel, successful audience. But then when the audience wavers, you got to go more extreme, right? To get the numbers. If you're trying to make profit off of it, you say something more extreme. And that's kind of the danger. And less competition in that space could mean a problem for the journalistic approach, right? Cheeseworks says IGN now owns Pure Xbox and Push Square. If I'm either one of them, I'm worried because I really like Pure Xbox and Push Square. I really do. But I know also when I'm going there, but I don't want to go to IGN for the only source of information. I want to go to IGN for a source of information. Very different things. Todd Oxtra saying there should be pillars of journalism. Most games reporting is entertainment focused. The personalities are too tied to the content makers. Yes, I agree, Todd, but I can tell you in my limited time as a sports journalist, I went to MLS headquarters in New York, and one of the things they were showing me at the time was something called Opta. Now, Opta was a data tracking program, and it tracked how many players trapped a ball, ran on the left side of the field, the right side of the field, used their right foot, their left foot, uh, if they wore heart monitors, what their oxygen levels were, et cetera, et cetera. But it also tracked how users were using the websites. How far down on a page did they scroll before abandoning an article? What were they? Did they skip a good article until they got to a certain section, read that section, and then moved on? What number of things did they look for in a web page or a web visit? And then what started happening was MLSsoccer.com started catering to the content that people were looking for and locking in on. So if they were only looking for scores, suddenly my articles couldn't have had context, no extra quotes, just psh, boom, there. No opinion from Luke Lore, just give me quotes, just give me statistics, just give me this. And they experimented with stuff, but that's how they measured it. So if that was in 2013, nope, I'm sorry, 2011, 14 years on, 13 years on, what are they looking at now? And that'll change how content is looked at. Jam Pack Sam becoming a YouTube member. Hey, man, thank you so much for the support. Sincerely, I really appreciate you, man. Now I get to give you all these super cool emotes, from the double down to the Joseph Moran to Logan being shocked, and of course pizza because Little Caesars had to happen. Thanks for joining the channel, buddy. I really appreciate it. Right now everybody knows that that the money that you're putting into the show is helping me fund my trip to LA, so I'm really appreciative of that. But in large part, in the bigger picture, it goes towards helping the content get made. Joe, you're asking me to look at a question. Oh, I see you. I started. Okay, I got you. Let's look at his question now. Sam, real quick though, says, no problem. Love supporting you and the crew and being part of it all. I'm honored, man, because I think you're one of the best content creators around. There is no one better, by the way. There is no one better in the gaming space, not professional, not enthusiast press, not amateur, that does shorts better than Jam Pack Sam. They're informational, they're funny, they're well timed, they're created. It's absolutely fantastic. All right, let's look at this question from Trophy Room, a PlayStation show, podcast, what have you. Why did you have a problem with God of War Ragnarok's wall and Angrboda levels, you stinky hypocrite? So what he's asking me is, Hellblade, you do a lot of walking and you're slow, right? It's a very slow going game. Whereas in God of War, there's a walking slow portion where I think the game slows down for 40 minutes or so to an hour, depending on how you try to beeline through it. Why have a problem with it in God of War versus Hellblade? And I think that's a great question. It's a legitimately great question that anybody who asks that as a troll, you're missing the point. In Hellblade, I think the game from the very beginning sets the tone of what it wants to be. It sets the tone of how it wants to go about bringing the player along for its experiencing what it is that Senua goes through. And you are again, it's a walking simulator mixed with God of War, but it's paced so well that you are at a steady cadence throughout. In God of War, even if you go exploring, you will go no more than 2 minutes, if not no more than a minute, before there's some version of action happening, except when you get to Angrboda, and you have to walk around as the boy and listen to this girl as you try to get this giant cow thing through the level. And so the flow of the game was interrupted. If that level had not been there, I think I would have enjoyed Ragnarok a lot more because to me, this is important for the audience to know. God of War 2018 to me is the best game ever made. I don't think I've ever seen a better combination of voice acting, graphical fidelity, combat, and just vibe with a game than God of War 2018. That when that Leviathan axe returns to your hand, whew, chef's kiss. I love it. So expecting more of that and expecting a sequel, the stakes are raised. With Hellblade, the stakes were raised in what Hellblade does well, and that is visual fidelity and audio design. The combat is improved. The puzzles, I would say, look better, but I don't remember enough about the old puzzles. It, to me, it's about cadence and rhythm. God of War Ragnarok was interrupted by that level. Hellblade sets the standard from the beginning. You can play the first 30 minutes of Hellblade and know if you're on board. And if you're not, it's okay. It's okay. It was an oxen. You're right. It was an oxen. Let's see. Cheeseworks asking, this isn't AMA, by the way. You guys can ask me anything. Cheeseworks asking, how'd you go from an MLS reporter to history teacher? Very interesting. So, I'll keep it shorter, but I was an English teacher. I also taught an English and history teacher out of college. Not a very good one, if I'm being honest. I wasn't a good man. I wasn't a good teacher. I was not mature. I didn't like how I look back and I'm genuinely disgusted is not the right word. Upset with who I was. Left teaching, wanted to be a soccer reporter because I was almost good enough to be in MLS. Probably could have been if I had the right head on my shoulders. Had friends in MLS, loved reporting, loved writing, started my own website, started interviewing people, interviewed the national team, interviewed my local team. I was the color commentator for the Carolina Railhawks, now NCFC, and learned a lot about journalism, all self-taught, all of it self-taught. And in that time, I learned a lot, right? I got to visit places and see people. And then I found that I still had to work at GameStop, couldn't pay the bills. My best friend let me live with him for a little bit. I lived with my parents for a little bit, lived out of my car for a very little bit. And I just couldn't do it. And so I went back to teaching for the money. I'm lying. I went back to teaching because I needed a stable income, healthcare, and I did want to go back to journalism at the time, but I do have a passion for teaching. I taught Taekwondo and martial arts for years. I coached for soccer for years. I've always had that in my blood. There's education in my background. And so returning to teaching was the best thing I ever did. Been back in teaching for, this is my 10th year at the school that I'm at. This is my 10th year at the school that I'm at. And I love it. I absolutely love it. Those kids are amazing. There's too few teachers and we are desperately drowning. We need more. We need more. Let's see. What grade did I teach? I taught 6th my first 3 years, and then I've been bouncing back and forth in the last 10 years of teaching 7th and 8th. Joe asks when I got my first kiss. 6th grade. 6th grade. I was real bad at it. Let's see. The results came back saying your heart is very healthy. I'm glad to hear it, buddy. I really am glad to hear it. Really glad to hear it. I'm excited. I get to see Joe in person in July. Very excited for that. And Joe, you keep at it because we're riding roller coasters and it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I took every AP history course and loved it. Very cool, dude. Very cool. I currently teach English, which is great because I can teach whatever I want. Keep the questions coming, guys, about IGN, about Hellblade, the review process, anything. I would really, really appreciate them. I'm going to wrap up in about 5-10 minutes or so. But again, I like these little let's talks. I never know if it's going to be like this big, lots of people show up, or if, it's going to be a lot of people. I just don't know. But I appreciate you guys being here. I'm just scrolling through, looking. What do you think the future looks like for print mags like Game Informer and Edge? They're going to die. They're niche. They're like, I have the Game Informer over there. I got it because Ains recommended it. And that's good, right? Like, it's cool. But people don't read anymore, Sam. That's just the reality. People don't read en masse. They consume via video. And even videos are dead. by comparison, it's now shorts. It's now Instagram and TikToks, and it's like real quick videos. So my next task this week is to segment out portions of my review that I like and make those shorts. But I don't want to do that because it defeats the purpose, but I'm old. And so that's kind of the next thing to do. And that's the hard part, I think, right now, because Logan is dealing with personal stuff. So like XEP is just me right now. That's not true. It's a 70-30 split at the moment because my boy's handling his business. He's taking care of his life as he should. And he has my full support on that. But like when he wants to hang out, like when we played Call of Duty last night, I'd rather play Call of Duty with him than pressure him about content or anything like that. So that tends to be, like how much work do I want to put into XEP? Did I want to do a Let's Talk? I did, just because I like talking to you guys. I like when people show up. If nobody had showed up, I'd have left early and it'd have been sad. But do I want to go do a review? I have like 4 review codes I'm sitting on right now. Nope. Right. 2 of them I didn't ask for. No, 3 of them I didn't ask for. 1 I said maybe. All 4 are there now. They're all 4 there because the quality of XCP has gone up. Cool. The next review I do will probably be the Razer Stealth Ultra 600 headset. That got shipped out today by PR, and it'll be here in a few days. I'll review that one. And one of the things I'll do is listen to Hellblade 2. Particularly, there's a fire level. When you guys play that fire level, I'm telling y'all, it was so good. I liked the fire level in Hellblade 2 better than I did anything in Alan Wake 2, including the music video portion. Just saying that. Let's see. Cheese. Oh, sorry. What are your thoughts on the trophy room? It's a great show. I love the trophy room. I enjoy it. I need the pre-show to be shorter because I'm always there at 8 and y'all are still in pre-show. It's like, what about my time? But I'm anxious to listen to more trophy room come summer, if I'm being honest. Let's see here. Do you ever discuss gaming with your students? I love talking TV, film, and games with teachers all the time. Cheeseworks, all the time. Gaming is who I am, and I am very much a open individual with them. They know if I'm having a bad day. They know if I took my wife on a date. They know if I'm playing Fortnite. Like they know that stuff. I talk to them every day. I tell them I love them at the end of every class. Every Monday we start with what we did on our weekend, and all the time mine are in games. Talk about the movies, and so yeah, that's definitely something I talk about with them because I enjoy it. Nisa says playing Hellblade on my ROG Ally, and it's really good with some tweaking. I presume she means Hellblade 2. That is not how I would want you to experience Hellblade 2, Nisa. I would want you on a big screen with headphones. Let me know if you regret that or if this is like the norm for you. Because if this is your norm, rock on. Like when I played Breath of the Wild, I played it on mobile or portable a lot, but I also really enjoyed it on a TV. So, let's see. It's such a shame. I have the sub too, but I'm hoping they make it work somehow. I hate seeing the era of gaming entertainment info and fade out. He's talking about gaming magazines. And yeah, it's just not there. It's just not a thing anymore. It's niche, right? It's retro. And that's what happens, right? That's just what happens. What position did I play in soccer? Asks Skate Lights. I played striker for my school team and goalkeeper. No, for my club team and goalkeeper for my school team for the most of the time. But I did both. I love both. I was really good at scoring goals and stopping them. But some injuries, a shoulder repair, it just depends. Broke my ankle. Like I had a lot of really gnarly injuries that have just diminished what was once a really cool athletic talent. I really enjoyed that, but it's gone now. How's our secret project coming along? Joe, I swear to God, I don't know what project we're talking about. Is there a project we're doing? Does Hellblade 2 make you more optimistic about the future of Xbox? It does not. It does not, actually. It makes me think that this is long gone. We're not going to see something like this for a while. I think the Xbox showcase is going to be baller, and that's what your future of Xbox is. And it's going to be big moneymaker titles. Diablo, Fable, Gears of War, COD. I don't think you're getting Hellblades. I don't think you're getting Hi-Fi Rushes. And I don't think it's the future of Xbox, which sucks. ROG Ally, ROG earbuds are good for the game. Very cool, very cool. I love the pre-show, says Nisa. I do too, but like started at 7:30 and start the regular show at 8. Never listened to the Trophy Room. I should give it a try. You should. It's hosted by Joseph Moran and Kyle Stevenson. Kyle works in the industry, working with indie developers at Vicarious Visions, but also works with 6-1 Indie. So very much an indie person and like diehard PlayStation fanboy. Kyle is not an Xbox dude at all. Just not. Never knocking him. He's just not a Xbox guy. Joe is more of a PlayStation gamer that doesn't hate Xbox, and like Sea of Thieves is one of his favorite games. He loves Halo. I game with Joe every day or every other day, easy, and have since COVID. We've known each other since 2017, buddies since probably 2019, I would guess, and just loves games. He's been on XEP before. We do cast co-op together on Season Gaming. I would say give it a listen. It's not the same pace as XEP. So if you're thinking XEP or thinking Bitcast, it's not Trophy Room, but it's not so far out of the realm that you wouldn't enjoy it either. Check out Cast Co-op and Trophy Room and figure out how you like to take your Joseph Moran. I take him. Never mind. Is it difficult to discipline your students? You seem too nice. Not at all. I am super nice. And that means when they piss me off, it hurts their hearts because it hurts my heart. And so I show them an immense amount of respect. And as a result, I expect that. I am not a yeller. I do not yell. So that does not, it doesn't happen. Yeah, I'd rather just wait. That said, no, discipline's not a problem for me. No. I treat them like gold and they treat me like gold. Simple as that. Luke, don't regret it. I need the mobility. Should have played today. So many cancellations. Oh, I see. Okay. Fair enough, Nisa. Nisa's a therapist, by the way. What was your English Premier League team in England? Chelsea was, but it's not because they were good or not good. When I was 14, my team was called the Fusion and they wore blue jerseys, and Chelsea in FIFA 2002 had blue jerseys. That's how it happened. And then I grew to love Chelsea. And then when I left sports journalism, soccer, I kind of put soccer away for a while. But I did used to get to interview. I did get to used to interview all types of pro players, the whole national team, Donovan, Dempsey, all of them. Yep. I can imagine seeing Ninja Theory pull a Toys for Bob and do their own thing eventually, if possible. I don't see Ninja Theory being let go because they've just mastered the Unreal Engine, and Project Mara is a thing. And Jez Corden said that they were doing something else. I don't know if Jez is talking out of his butt or not. I don't think so, but I don't know what he knows. He keeps saying he's going to come on the next XEP, but that didn't happen yet. So I'm salty with Jez, even though I genuinely enjoy him. I am 5'10". Yeah, that is correct. Joe is a wild card. PlayStation's dead. Xbox dead. Ouya forever. That joke, by the way, never been funny. And I need you to know that. It's never been funny. It's not funny, Joe. It's not funny. It's bad. You're bad, and you should know that. Let's see. Nisa is a therapist. Yes. Jam Pack Sam. I don't think so. They didn't have the money. Yeah, I don't. Hey, you're probably right. Now, that said, that Toys for Bob tease, I'm here for it, because that Toys for Bob tease was very much a Spyro and Crash mix, and I am here for it. Get me a game where Spyro and Crash are going around. And while we're at it, bring back Skylanders. I don't care if it's the old games remastered. Bring them back, put them on digital, and I like it. That's what I want. Portal Player in the house. Good to see you, Portal Player. I hope you're doing well, my friend. Let's see. Is there a dream developer you want to interview? That's a great question, Cheeseworks. Well, I've been fortunate to interview Mike Chapman, Seamus Blackley. Talked to Seamus yesterday, actually, if I'm being honest. Seamus Blackley. Oh, nope, can't say that one. I've interviewed a lot of people, right? A lot of people. I think my dream interview now is Sarah Bond. And this is a touch selfish, and it has less to do with games than it might seem. And I'm trying to avoid tokenization by way of wording, but I get to teach a lot of students of color, and I teach a lot of female students of color. And in my classroom, I have uh, books on women in gaming and being a game developer. And we talk a lot about um, getting into STEM, particularly for our students of color, because STEM is an underserved field. If you've ever listened to TKO Asante talk about this, STEM programs are underfunded and underserved, particularly by young people, uh, basically non-white kids. And so I think Sarah Bond, who is top of her class, running the show uh, at a brand like Xbox, which is a cool brand, does so that's knowledgeable. She had a bad interview with Bloomberg, but she's knowledgeable, she's wise, she is willing to play the game that gets you to that level while also appreciating the gamer, and she's approachable. I would love to interview her about being a role model and the pressures that come from that. I think that would be a very worthwhile use of my time, and it would be something that I could use in the classroom. I have, when I talked to Cliff Blazinski, I made sure I kept him focused at one point about the writing process so I could use clips of that to talk to my students that knew Gears of War and say, this is how Cliff approached writing at one point. I will use different interviews. Like I interviewed people making games in the Ukraine during wartime, right? The people that made Sherlock Holmes. So I've had some really good conversations, and I really would like to, really would like to see how it goes. Portal Player says, that's a silly question. Do you think she lives her life thinking about how she's a role model? I think when you're elevated to a position that everyone is going to scrutinize your appearance, your outfit, what you say, break down your words, your body language, and how you affect a brand, yes, you do think of whether or not you are doing those things well, whether you are putting on the right representation. Luke Lord goes to the Xbox showcase in 3 weeks. When I go there, how I present myself will be judged and evaluated by everybody that meets me. Am I a serious content creator, an enthusiast press member? Am I trying to be regular press? Am I trying to be something I'm not? Am I authentic? Am I genuine? Am I dressed for the event in a way that suggests I can be taken seriously and not like just a diehard fan? All of those things will be assessed. And any camera time will play into the brand of what it is I am trying to sell. And when you look at someone like Sarah Bond or Phil Spencer or Jim Ryan or Reggie Fils-Aimé or Sean Layden, they have to factor their appearance, their outfit, their word choices, their mantra, their business, all into what it is they present. And so, yeah, on some level, yes, absolutely. That's what I think is happening. Most kids born in America are non-white now, over 50%. Maybe I don't know the actual statistics there, Portal Player, but I will tell you not enough proportionally are in STEM fields, and we need them in STEM fields. And so that's the part that I'm getting at. You cannot have a homogeneous group running the show in any demographic or sorry, in any profession. You need diversity to bring out the best. Just like we don't want IGN to own everything, you need different ideas, different competing value sets in a space. Portal Player, I think you're on dangerous ground. I'd be careful. I'd be careful. I'd be careful with that. I think you need to be cautious in your wording there, because it can either be misinterpreted or we would have a problem, audience wise. Cheeseworks says, what do you do with your free time in the summer as a teacher? Some of my teachers would get part-time jobs. I did not do a good job last summer, solo wise. I had gotten to a bad mental place. I had too much downtime, and I ideated for the first time in probably 10 years. And so this summer I made a point of I'm helping coach the high school soccer team, which I did last summer, but not enough. So I pre-scheduled out when I'm going to be in the weight room with them, when I'm going to be on the field with them, pre-scheduled out times that I'm going to be with them. I scheduled a trip with my boys. So I'm going to get to see James Suddy and Joseph Moran and my buddy Kev Butler. We're taking our wives and girlfriends, and we're all going to an amusement park together, meeting up with Suddy for the first time ever. So that I'm really excited about, and that's going to be really fun. coaching 4 days a week, plus content creation. One of the reasons I'm doing these Let's Talks is to figure out, is this something I want to do weekly with you guys? I won't be able to do it in the fall because I'll be coaching in this window of time and I won't have the energy. But do I want to do this once a week with you guys? Is there an audience for that? So I'm kind of trying this out to see if that's something I want to do this summer also. So that is a factor for me. That's what I'm doing, right? Because in some respects, because people support the show by being a channel member or patron or whatnot, it is financially viable. In other ways, not. And so, like, it's not a job, but so it goes. Cheeseworth asks what ideated means. If you ideate, if you have dark thoughts or suicidal thoughts, if you ideate, that means they're coming back up to the surface. And if you are either in therapy or on medication, you have to be very conscious of those. And so, having had that in my history, I'm very aware of that. So I had to adjust my medication and stuff like that. And I had too much downtime. That's all. Too much downtime. Too much time with thoughts. So you keep busy. It's a matter of health. Health is wealth in a lot of ways, and being busy, or rather I should say being active, is important. Jam Pack Sam says, looking forward to the interviews in a few weeks. Are you trying to recreate a podcast setup for people, or just going old school and shooting on the fly? So it depends on what we're talking about, Sam. So like what I've done is I've got meetings booked. I've got about 10 meetings booked with developers, ranging in like 1-hour demos and talking to devs, and just going in and seeing stuff or whatnot. Like, I'm not going to get to sit down with the Star Wars Outlaw developers, across the screen, film it, that kind of thing. Like that I do not get that time with them. But I might get 15 minutes on the show floor talking to them, or an hour-long demo that includes 15 minutes of one-on-one time just chatting. So that will happen, and it'll probably be more that I get to go have these experiences, maybe get recordings, maybe not, and then bring them and talk about them on XEP. Bring the experiences and talk about them. I doubt I get one-on-one interviews, but I'm going to try. So that is something I am looking at right now. Portal Player says, now I know what ideated means. Yep, now you do, my friend. Yeah, more hands-on experiences and such. Yes, that is something I'm looking at for sure. Additune says, I think having role models is very important, especially for BAME kids, Black American. I'm trying to figure out what the acronym is. I had the opportunity to meet Ben Carson many, many, many years ago, and now I'm a gynecologist, just a fact, and I felt he did it. So Ben Carson, the now political figure, prior to that, he was a doctor. And he's still a doctor, I guess, but like, yeah, I got you. And so that had an impact on you. That's great to hear. Yeah, we need good role models for sure. Black, Asian, mixed race kids. There you go. Got it. Thank you, Addie. I appreciate you. Let's see. Cheesework says, really excited for the future of your interviews. They're bread and butter of your channel for me. Top tier gaming interviews in the biz. Thank you. They're very hard to do. Not the interviewing part, that comes very naturally to me, but the scheduling. I am talking to somebody right now who has made some of the biggest games of the 2000s, 2010s, some names that you guys are all very aware of and know the names of, and scheduling with him has been very difficult, right? But I've never had him on the show, and I'm really excited. So yeah, there you go. Portal, I'm about to log off, buddy. In short, Hellblade I really liked. I was surprised by some of the lower end reviews. They don't really make sense for me, but I respect the opinions, and I would love it if you guys would all, and I'll say this right now, when I log off here, would you please take the time to go watch my review? I really put my heart and soul into it. It's the first review of that caliber where I did capture, audio, editing all at once, and it was exhausting. And I don't think it's even broken 200 views yet. So I'd really love for people to check it out for sure. Yeah, Cheeseworks, you have a great day as well, man. I really appreciate you. Again, love these Let's Talks. I hope you all have a fantastic day. Appreciate you supporting XEP. Sam, thanks for becoming a channel member, buddy. Nisa, I appreciate you. And read a psychology book about gaming. Read A Gaming Mind. Absolutely. Good call. Good call. Alrighty, guys. That's going to be it from me. Have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful rest of your week. Take care.